All right, since I got the heads cleaned up finally, power washed, all the porting's done, it's time to lap the valves. And I was going to shoot a video tonight on how to lap valves. It's not very hard. It's very critical, though, to get your valve sealing surfaces nice. I've got some lapping compound. I've got the little special Mr. Miyagi tool for spinning the valves and the bores. But I haven't really messed with these valves yet since I got the engine. And they don't look terrible. Until I started cleaning them. And this is one of the intake valves. It doesn't look bad, but you can see there's some pitting on it. And it cleaned up all right, but the edge here, where it's going to be sealing, doesn't look great. And then I cleaned up one of the exhaust valves. And this looks like something they pulled up out of a Mycenaean era shipwreck. It is bad. So I'm kind of wondering how many of these valves are going to be good, how many of them are going to be bad. It looks like all of them are going to have some amount of pitting on them. So do I just go ahead and buy new valves now? Well, fart. I think I do have some more valves somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and clean these valves up. Basically, I've got a bench grinder with a wire wheel on it. When you're cleaning these with the bench grinder, you got to hold on, wear some gloves, and hold on to them tight and just use, just barely work them a little bit. If that wire brush grabs a hold of this valve, it's going to yank it out of your hands and throw it to the floor and bend it. So you got to be real careful cleaning these. But I'm going to go ahead and clean up all of them and see how many good valves and bad valves I have, because I think I've got some more of these laying around somewhere. If that's the case, I may have to mix and match. The main thing is, even though you pull it out of a similar motor, make sure the valves are the same height, make sure that your valve locks are the same height, make sure the thickness is here the same, make sure your diameter is the same. And I'm going to clean these valves up and see where that gets me, and then I'll see about shooting a video on lapping valves. All right, so I'm finished cleaning up the valves, and this one is just trash. You can see the pitting is in the back side of the face here. There's pitting on the shaft. Pitting here on the shaft is concerning. If your valve breaks in this area, the head of your valve is going to bounce around between the cylinder head and the piston, and it's going to embed itself in the cylinder head and the piston a couple thousand times. With an iron head, it's mostly going to embed itself in the piston, but yeah, you don't want that. So this is going to be a weakened valve, and I don't want to run this. And a lot of the exhaust valves came out with this kind of pitting here, so they're trash. Now, I've got an intake valve here that's got a whole bunch of pitting on the face, and that doesn't concern me as much, but at the same time, am I going to get hot spots there in all those pits? I don't know. If I can replace that, I'd really rather replace it. And the backside has got a little bit of pitting. So let me do a count here of how many valves I've got good and how many I've got bad, and we'll see what we got. All right, this is one of those cases where it pays to never throw anything away, and I threw something away. I had a bucket full of valves and springs and whatnot that I figured I was never going to use, and about a year or so ago I threw it away. I got these all sorted out. I've got 6 really good intake valve or exhaust valves. If you see, there's 9 here. I had this one laying up here on my bench, and I was going to use it for one of my valves. The seat's a little marginal. The seat face is a little marginal. That one may not get used, but the rest of it cleaned up nicely, and it was one of those that I was going to use to block off a port while I was grinding, and I never got around to using it, so we'll see if I can use it or not. I'm not real crazy about the face. This one's chewed up bad. Looks like a sea relic. This one, it's just these two here. Well, that one's got a bad face. But this one here, it's just the pitting on the stem. That's the only thing keeping me from using it. If I could trust it, I would run it, but I don't want the head of the valve breaking off. These two are garbage. I've got 4 excellent condition intake valves. I've got 2 that are marginal. Everything on the back side looks good. There's no pitting here in the root. It's pitting on the face. That's it. And it's not serious pitting, so I'm probably going to run these. But I did check the surface, the face on these, and they're okay. So I need 2 intakes and 2 exhaust valves. And I threw away my bucket of valves that I had stashed under here somewhere. So I may have to go to pull apart an engine and see if I can get some valves. All right, so I got my valve grinding compound here. And a little bit of this stuff goes a long way. It's very aggressive stuff. Ooh, this stuff may be a little old. All my chemicals in my cabinet are old, apparently. All right, so just got a dab of it on the face here. Slide the valve down into place. Get your Mr. Miyagi stick. Yeah, I'm going to have to use a smaller side. And basically all you're doing is spinning the valve on the seat. So if you heard, it started off sounding kind of scratchy, and then it lightened up real quick. That tells me it's got a pretty smooth face up. So I'm going to pull the valve out. You really want to clean this stuff off good when you're done. So I'm looking at the valve here, and you can see it put a ring, a nice ring around here where it's facing, where it's meeting up. So you look for the ring on the valve, and you want to look for the ring on the valve face here, and make sure that it looks like it's continuous all the way around. And I have a very nice silver band here in the seat. So if you see this lip right here, yeah, you can see this one hadn't been done yet. It's got a little bit of junk in there and whatnot. This has a very clean band. All the way around where it ground that seat. And that's all it takes. It doesn't take a whole lot of spinning on there. You don't have to sit there and work it for 10 minutes. You just got to get the valve compound on there, get the valve down, and use your Mr. Miyagi tool here to spin that valve. And as soon as you hear it go from scratchy to nice and smooth, you're pretty much done. You can go a little more just to make sure, but that's all there is to cleaning the seats. And then once you're done, you want to thoroughly clean the head again. You're going to want to fog it down. If you got a pressure washer, pressure wash it again, because all that grit will do the same thing to the inside of your motor that it just did to that seat. Now, I want to show you on this one, when I was grinding this one, I was a little worried that over here on this side, I got a little too close to the lip there. And you can see I did grind down into the valve seat just a hair, but that nice gray line goes all the way around. That valve seat cleaned up, so I didn't hit it too bad. That'll seal, and I was worried about that, but it's good. All right, so I finished up, and this last valve seat here is kind of rough. And this one here, I got kind of close. I nicked it a little bit when I was grinding, and I'm down to where the valve seat's questionable on this one. Now, the question is, what am I going to do? This being a temporary set of heads until I can build the engine the way I want, I'm probably going to roll with it. I may lap these ones that were rough one more time just to see if I can get a little more smoothness out of them. This head here, I polished this one good in the combustion chambers. This one here, I don't think I polished at all. And I've got a little bump here I've got to knock out. So this head's going to get a little more work. And I'm going to polish these combustion chambers. I'm going to relap the valve seats that were questionable. And I'm going to start reassembling. All right, since this is my $150 350 and I don't want to take it to the machine shop, I'm going to try something janky here. I've got a couple valve seats that are bad, and honestly I should take it to the machine shop and have a valve job done. But I can't afford a machine shop build on this engine. Not right now. Maybe when I rebuild this engine with what I want in it later with a different set of heads. But if I were buying a different set of heads, I wouldn't have to worry about a valve job at all because I'd be buying brand new heads, blah, blah, blah. So, to that end, how do I clean up this valve seat? And I got to thinking about it. And really, you know, they have the valve stones that you can do your own valve jobs and whatnot. And it's not really something you can do at home. It's not something affordable for the home builder. But I realized I've got these old valves, these valves here, the ones that were trashed. You know, that one's got the pitting here, so I can't trust it in the engine. And I don't care if this face gets tore up. I can put some lapping compound on these seats and get these valves in here, and I can use my roll-lock wheel to spin the valves. Maybe, we'll see. So I need to lube the shaft on this valve, which doesn't want to go in that hole. And then I'm going to put some valve lapping compound on here, and I'm going to spin it for a little bit and see if I can get the seat to clean up. Now the problem with this, if you do research online, it'll tell you that a small block Chevy has a 45-degree angle valve seat and 45-degree angle valve face. And what I was taught when I was in school was that you actually have a 1-degree difference between your valve seat and your valve face. That way there's a little bit of an offset so the valve doesn't sit right flush on the seat and seal the entire width. You want an interference angle where just one point of contact all the way around. So that's what I've always understood. So if I lap the valve in longer to the seat, is that going to make it match too well? I don't know. I think I should be okay. I have to get a different valve to do this with. This one's not wanting to go in. I'm going to go clean the tip on the wire wheel. So, on this valve here, this valve seat, I've just got a little nick there that I got with the burr, with the grinder. I'm going to see what I get when I clean this. Again, this is a trash valve. So I'm getting more work done with the Miyagi stick than with this, but I kind of wonder if it's because this valve surface is rough, pitted. I have this valve here that came out of a Vortec engine. It fits down in there, and it's got a smoother face. But it don't want to turn either. Maybe I should lube it up a bit. So, this does not work for gripping a valve to surface it. The Miyagi stick is still the best bet. That's helping. There's still I can't get that with my fingernail, but I can still see it. I really need a tool. What I need is a valve that goes the wrong way. I need a valve face that I can set down in there and grind on. Beautiful pattern on that valve. It's just the wrong valve and it's chewed up. Okay, so all that work does seem to be cleaning it up. I can still see the nick, but it's a lot smoother feeling. And you really want to use a valve with a clean surface there, and not one that's pitted like the surface of the moon. The Miyagi stick, unless somebody's got a link to a suction cup on a post that you can chuck up in a drill, I'd love that. Because I'd like to be able to just sit on it and spin with the drill for a little bit. That might get a little faster here, but at the same time, I think it'd be easy to go too far. And again, I don't want to take off a whole lot of metal. I just want to take off enough to clean this up. And once it starts getting quiet, you know you got to reapply. Well, I can't say it's 100% better, but it's definitely getting better. I did look up these valves last night. The factory exhaust valves for a small block Chevy are 0.341 inch diameter stems, and on rebuilt heads they had 3.372 inch valves, and apparently some of these L98s came with 0.372 across the board, and that's what this has. It has the 0.372 valves, which I don't really like. They're going to be heavy valves compared to the factory ones, and instead of being $2 a piece for valves, they're about $10 a piece. So for me needing 3 exhaust valves, all of a sudden I'm up to $30 in parts just to replace the valves, because I don't have any spares of the 0.372s. Who uses that? Apparently GM. Oh my gosh, those will never seal. You're such a hack. Let's see. There's no springs on these. There's no keepers, no locks. It's the weight of the valves holding in the seats. That fluid level's staying pretty straight. I'm not seeing anything coming out of the port. That's PB Blaster, not alcohol, so yeah, this does work. It may be janky, but I'm happy with it. You're not going to bleed off your compression if the valves are sealing this good. This is the valve seat I'm worried about. This is probably the worst valve seat on this intake. Those are both in. That one may be dropping ever so slightly. Exhaust valve's leaking. Very slowly. Again, there's no seat pressure. This is just the valve resting on the seat. And I'm getting about a drip worth. Every 10 seconds. One drop every 10 seconds. That's going to seal on a running engine. I'm not going to lose compression with that valve seat. So, cheap 350, do I need to do a valve job? I don't think so. I'm going to run it as is.